Okay, so let me time myself. Okay, so thank you very much, Ms. Lakat, for nice introduction. And I'm going to talk about the study that UIL, UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning, is currently conducting on documenting the use of ICT for refugees, migrants, and internally displaced people who are probably one of the most marginalized people or learners in this learning space. Okay. So my presentation will consist of 4 parts: current situations of refugees and migrants and main challenges. And then I will move on to the project, and I will conclude with the way forwards. So the current situations, what we know about the people on the move. To kind of defeat the boredom of this webinar, I will ask some questions in the middle, and I will be happy to hear your answers to my questions. And you can just put it up on the chat box, or you can momentarily unmute your microphone and then answer to the question. It will be very short questions, yes or no, kind of, but still more interactive, I hope. So in the current situation of migrants and refugees and internally displaced people, we have this staggering number of almost 80 million people forcibly displaced in 2019. If I put it in the perspective, this is actually the equivalent of the whole population of Thailand or the whole population of the UK. So this is really an incredible number of people who's actually forced outside of their home for the conflict or violence or natural disasters. Top sourcing countries who's sending out these refugees, you can see Syria, Venezuela, Afghanistan, South Sudan, and Myanmar. And my first question here is, who would be the top hosting countries? So the Turkey is number 1, is the neighboring country of many of the source countries of the refugees. Followed by Colombia, Pakistan, Uganda, and Germany. Germany is actually number 5. And as you can see, most of the countries, most of the hosting countries are actually developing countries rather than advanced countries. So they are actually having a lot of difficulties accommodating the influx of the refugees. And if you look at the average period, the learners or children or the adults and youth are in exile is 5 to 10 years. And this is quite a long time for especially children and youth who had to stop their learning because of their move out of their country. So we are dealing with actually these vulnerable populations who disrupted their learning because of this situation that they have no control of. The main challenges of these populations, according to a study by UNESCO in 2018, as you can imagine, the need for survival is over-education. So their daily survival tricks, their daily survival ways, like food, safety, their life, and all those things are actually over the needs of the education. And another thing that specifically our focus is the lack of language or literacy skills in hosting countries. And also some of them are so that's kind of a double challenge. And trauma and identity struggles, disorientation in new environments, and exclusion and isolation in the hosting countries. As I mentioned before, double challenge is actually those who are having no literacy of any language, like this population here, 15% of the refugee population in Germany, and literate in another script, but they have to learn the script of Latin when they are landed in Germany or other countries who are using Latin script. So this 65%, 66% of the people are actually in a great needs in learning new language when they are landed in a settlement. A good news is actually the mobile phone served as a lifeline for people on the move. And it's quite surprising that refugees actually said their ownership of the mobile phone is more important than food and shelter. It's their actually quotes that they actually said. And 2/3 of 3,000 refugees in Jordan owns Jordan, Rwanda, and Uganda owns mobile phones. And the most recent one is 80% of Syrian refugees in Lebanon owns a mobile phone, which is actually very high percentage compared to the 65% of the owning the refrigerator, meaning they value the mobile phone higher than the refrigerators in their household. So with this, we have kind of a hope that we can use this lifeline, which is mobile phone or technology, to provide access to the literacy learning to this most vulnerable population on Earth. So the background of the study, we started this project supported by Swedish International Development Agency. And the main purpose of this study or project is to document existing initiatives of using ICT to ensure learning opportunities for refugees, migrants, IDPs, especially for the refugees literacy learning and other skills development. And for that, we had a wide call for cases worldwide. And it was from end of the May to July this year. And for 2 months, we collected about 40 cases. And you can see most of the cases were from Europe and Arab states. Very understandable, knowing that many refugees are actually are from Arab states, and also many refugees are settling in Europe. So those two continents sent most cases to us. And as we mentioned in the earlier slide, we had these top hosting countries, and it consistent with the collection of our cases, because Germany sent 3 cases, Uganda was 3 cases, Pakistan sent us 3 cases, and Turkey sent 2 cases of using technology to provide access to this learning for refugees and migrants. The age group, among 40 cases, we had to screen out 10 disqualified cases, and we now have 30 cases. Why it's disqualified is because the age group is for the early readings or younger kid like kindergarten. So we only focused on youth and adult literacy, which is 15 and up. So now we have this age group of about this youth focused, about 28 cases, and it goes decrease as the age goes up. The target skills, when we asked, the basic literacy skills are the most frequently identified skills that they focused, followed by the digital skills. Please note that the basic literacy skills on top is for the L2 or foreign language or second language, not the first language of their native. Types of digital technologies, as you could imagine, some of the refugees are still in the camps, and in the camp situation, not everybody can have access to the mobile phone or the sophisticated devices. So radio has been identified as 2 cases out of 30 as the main devices, followed by TV, some offline-based Wi-Fi emulator, which I will introduce a little bit more in detail in a few minutes. And some of them are using video chat. Some of them actually develop their own mobile app to train refugees in their own host language, OER platforms, online courses. This is from a foundation in Qatar who actually developed a simulation of ATM machine for refugees to be familiarized with how to use this ATM machine in a new country, in the host country. And as more sophisticated as blockchain technology, which I will present a little bit later in a few minutes. I will introduce only 3 cases due to the time constraint today. And the first notable case is low-tech solution. This is what I just mentioned before. It's the Wi-Fi emulator. And so you don't need actually internet for this. This is from the US, try to give the access to the university agribusiness course to the refugee camps in Uganda, 2019. And this is solar panel, and so they can charge all the devices over here with the solar energy. And this solar panel actually has its own Wi-Fi emulator with big hard drive. So all the internet available resources like Khan Academy, Wikispace, other OERs are already stored in this hardware. And because it's emulate the Wi-Fi signals, if you are around the 2.5 meter away from this device, they can still access to those great deal of online contents. So the students are using actually 95% offline and 5% when they have to submit their assignment to their professor. Key factors of success for this case is they did facilitator training very seriously, and they did facilitator training as the first step before starting anything. And they also had a very strong local partner to give the lessons to the students in refugee camp, and they did also very rigorous monitoring and evaluation. In the monitoring evaluation, they actually said 87% of completion rate with significant improvement in student confidence in digital learning. In this interview of the case, actually, they said the completion rate of other learning opportunity were really low as 20% or 15%. So this is a great improvement of completion rate. The second case is from Australia. This is less about the technology, but more about the pedagogy. This is for the adults, as you can see in the picture, and English as second language for refugees and migrants in Australia. And they are using drama and theater to emulate or simulate the authentic situation of using English. And so it gives authentic learning opportunities using drama. During the COVID-19, they are actually forced to use this internet environment or online environment or digital devices. So drama and literacy workshops were provided in online. The last case among many others is for today is blockchain technology, and this is from the UNESCO Bangkok office. And this is called Learning Coin Project for youth in Thailand. And as you can see here, this is a scholarship program. If students are using this learning app for reading, this data goes to the database, and the teachers can get the performance evaluation of the students where the time and how many pages or achievement, everything is recorded and translated into the monetary payment. And then one of the notable thing about this case is public-private partnership. And as you can imagine, the cash out part or giving the scholarship part is a great initiative from the private partnership. And so the kids who are learning or reading the learning materials are rewarded by having this scholarship, which can help their families' poverty or income generation. My last slide is for way forward. Before that, I will just repeat the key factors of success of using technology for refugees and migrants. we have to understand the needs, readiness, and the context of a local implementation. And we have to take the great advantage of partnership and local ownership. Recognition was very important. How the learning is recognized and how the learning is rewarded is one of the greatest success factors. And also, not just technology, but innovative pedagogy is a key. Mm-hmm. More details about the publication will be published in December 2020 with the case study to be published in early 2021. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Good, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about our work at DVV in Germany at the German Adult Education Association. And let me first pass on the greetings of my organization to this forum. Is it that I share my screen to give the presentation? Okay, sorry, I thought that it would be introduced by you. So let me act very, very quickly to give you my presentation. So I'm working at the DVV, which is the umbrella organization of 900 Volkshochschulen in Germany. Volkshochschulen are the adult education centers. We have more than 900 adult education centers in literally every city of the country with another 3,000 branches. So we exist in every community in Germany, basically. Volkshochschulen are part of the democratic traditions in Germany. Last year, we celebrated our centenary. When the German Kaiserreich broke down at the end of World War I and the revolutionary movement established the first German Republic in 1919, Volkshochschulen were founded in every corner of the country in order to lift the overall level of education of the ordinary population. Education for all was understood as the basis of democracy, and it is still our cause today. Volkshochschulen are the main provider of literacy education in Germany. We are also the main institution for the so-called integration courses that are second language courses, German as a second language for migrants and refugees, and for the second chance classes for early school leavers, where adults can catch up and obtain a school diploma. We still have some 50,000 people leaving school or drop out of school without a diploma every year. For some 15 years now, or exactly 17 years, the DVV as the umbrella organization of the Volkshochschulen, the umbrella organization at the national level, has been active in developing digital solutions to support our work in our institutions. We are foremost developing platforms and apps to expand our classroom-based courses into the digital space. We started in 2003 with the first online literacy course, Ich will lernen. You see it on the left-hand side, and recent development included the Einstieg Deutsch app that was a German language learning app for refugees 5 years ago, and the platform VHS Lernportal, which is our flagship today. You can see it on the right side, the landing page. It's a portal for literacy education, basic skills, and second language acquisition. The first part of it was published in 1917, but it's still in expansion. It's still under development. So I maybe also have to explain that Volkshochschulen, the adult education centers in Germany, the on-the-spot education centers are in most cases low-tech institutions. We have some exceptions, our big flagships in Munich or Frankfurt, of course. These are very powerful institutions, but the majority of these small institutions, of the 900 Volkshochschulen all over Germany, does not have the capacity to develop own digital solutions. The best they can do is to provide Wi-Fi to the participants, to the attendees of their classes. But on the basis of our platforms that we develop as a national institution, they do have the infrastructure to provide also online or hybrid courses and provide these to the people who attend their classes. So our developments have always the starting points in the conviction that digital office can help us to reach out to our target groups and make education more accessible for our target groups. When 5 years ago, about 1 million refugees came to Germany, there was a severe lack of teachers and rooms for German classes. Hundreds of people were queuing up in front of Volkshochschulen. As you can see here, this is a picture of the VHS, the Volkshochschule in Essen, in August 2015. And they were waiting for months to enter an integration class and to get instruction in the German language. So our resources as Volkshochschulen were very low at that moment, but we knew that the motivation was high to learn among the refugees, and they personally had an important digital resource at their disposal, and that was their smartphones. So it was crucial for us, or in our view, to activate this problem-solving tool, smartphone, as an educational resource and to provide a language learning app that was easy to use and focusing on the immediate communicative needs of the learners. Talking to a doctor or a medical assistant, talking to school staff and teachers of the children, asking for help, assistance, or the basic necessities of daily life, filling a simple form, etc. You can see here screens from that app, Einstieg Deutsch. Apart from this kind of first aid apps, we are also providing full-featured courses set up on a learning management system with tutorial support and a virtual classroom. This is the landing page of VHS Lernportal. There's no time in this session to introduce you to the portal, but it's completely free in use and you can just register with a mobile phone number or a valid email address. So I invite every participant of this forum to just register and have a look at the platform. At least the language course, the German language course, is translated into 18 languages. So you can choose between English and other languages common among refugees and migrants who come to Germany, and check out what we do and just get into contact with me afterwards and post your question maybe when trying out the software. So what is important when I say it's full-featured course is that we provide a lot of content, structured content based on a tested curriculum and with hundreds of exercises. The very, very majority of these exercises has automated feedback so that learners can proceed in their own pace and get immediate feedback on their input and do self-correction with the hints that the program gives them. We also have our first course supported by an algorithm that provides help to the learners how to proceed best. So the algorithm is analyzing their input and then recommending exercises on the basis of their competences and the next steps to learn. This is one thing we do in a literacy course right now, but other courses like the German courses, I'm sorry to say, have no artificial intelligence behind it yet. But we do have a human factor in the portal as well. It's human tutors that are also working in the background, and every learner that registers for the platform gets a human tutor by his side, and the role of the tutor is to encourage learning, to answer questions, to provide support and corrections in text production, and to give feedback on the overall learning process. And we think that it makes a huge difference to have these human factors in the background and to make people notice that they do not only communicate with a computer program, but there are also a human voice in the background, someone human who is interested in their efforts in what they do in their learning. And also what is important is that our teachers may become or have the potential to become the tutors of their students. So the setup is now that we have some 20 tutors working for us at the national umbrella organization, but teachers in our institution on the spot can register as tutors and organize and administer their classes on the platform. So they have the tools to watch and evaluate what their learners are doing. They provide extra exercises to individuals or group. They give corrections and feedback. So there are basic functionalities also for group work and for communication with the group, like a pinboard, a chat, and a file store. So given this, when by mid-March this year, every educational institution was closed in Germany to avoid the spreading of the coronavirus, our platform was the only available tool and environment to continue learning in the suspended courses, because it provided the necessary functionalities and content. The numbers of learners at that time was exploding. Give you some sheets on this. In April alone, we had 100,000 new learners on the platform and 50,000 new teachers on VHS Lernportal. People were absolutely motivated to use the time of the lockdown for learning. Again, the essential technical resource was the smartphone of the students, as we can see in our statistic, like some 85% of our students come to the platform with their smartphones. So now that the lockdown has ended, at least for a while, and Germany is trying to establish a new normal in educational institutions, the experience with the digital assisted learning during the lockdown, I think it will remain. We don't want to replace the classroom, but establish a new flexible learning culture where we, and especially our learners, take advantage of the best of the two worlds, the analog and the digital world, or the on-the-spot personal encounter in the classroom and the digital learning space. While we very much enjoy personal encounter for many kinds of communicative action in the classroom, like role-playing, creative games, intercultural exchange, we see that digitally provided exercises with automated and smart feedback can help our learners to become more autonomous, to proceed in their pace, to learn what they want to learn independently of time and place of the official classes. Adaptive systems like the algorithm I was talking about, they can assist them in choosing the exercises that correspond most to their needs. So sometimes we find the opinion, or we encounter the opinion, that digital learning is only best for universities or the high potentials. And I think this is surely not true. I think that marginalized groups and people with a weak educational background can benefit even more from digital provided learning offers. They benefit from assistance tools and from recommendation based on AI. People in shift work, people who care for family members who are at home, people with health restrictions or mobility restrictions, can attend courses consisting with elements that are in least part can be done in a flexible time slot. Automated feedback, smart tutoring, and peer learning systems, I think, help them to become more self-directed, autonomous learners who reflect and evaluate what they do and how they want to learn. So one last picture from one of our literacy classes, a teacher talking to his students, which are refugees from Syria, with their devices. I think essentially for establishing a new flexible and hybrid learning culture is not only the pure digital solution, a platform or whatever. It is at least as much a question of training our teacher to establish an understanding of the methodological and didactical implication, or how Jonghwi called it, to a new innovative pedagogy. In order to establish an understanding of the implications of the didactical implication and how to combine phases of immersion, of awareness raising, of explanation, elaboration, practice in the learning process best with the possibilities we find in the classroom and in the digital environment. So, and now coming back to our role, this is also one of our important tasks at the umbrella organization, that we are a central provider of teacher training for the Volkshochschulen. We help our institution to build their capacities by providing training for our teachers. And this training does not only include functionalities or how to like press buttons on a special program, on a computer program, how to deal with digital tools, but also how to provide like the best didactics connected to the two worlds and how to decide what to do in classroom and what best to do in a digital space.
Today, due to corona pandemic situation in South Korea, online classes are being conducted in schools. In response to the changes, the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education has also changed the method of supporting students in need. Today, I will tell you the current situation of the program and make some suggestions moving forward. Okay, I will tell you current, first I will explain the welfare program that the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education offers to the students. Second, I will give a detailed report on what has been provided by the welfare program. And I will explain the mentoring program that our Office of Education has been offering to alleviate the concern of the education gap that has occurred during the emergency. Lastly, I would like to make suggestions to improve the quality of the said programs today. I will explain the welfare program of our Office of Education. First, our Office of Education has designated and operated educational welfare schools since 2023. Most of them, our Office of Education chose certain schools to be base schools and has assigned social workers to support the students. Second, our Office of Education has designated 25 regional welfare centers and have been operating them. In similar fashion, we have also established a regional educational welfare network and operated them since 2023. Lastly, our Office of Education has been and is currently providing financial aid to those who need educational support. We have defined those in need to be students from low-income families, single parents families, North Korean refugees, and multicultural families and other families who were evaluated to need support. The educational welfare schools offer many programs tailored to their students. These programs provide care as well as psychological and emotional support. Furthermore, the programs offer assistance for learning and career guidance. For example, students who need care are linked to care institutions. Students who need psychological and emotional support are placed in relationship building programs. For students who need learning assistance are given tutors or are placed in various educational programs. And those in need of career guidance and placed in career counseling programs. In the case where students need additional help or assistance, community facilities are dedicated to provide further parental education and family counseling to those students. The educational welfare schools have increased since 23. In 2020, 959 schools are designated and managed. In addition, our Office of Education selects one educational center for every district in Seoul, making up a total of 25 regional centers. These centers provide assistance to students from schools that are not assigned social workers. They work to supplement the support they might not fully receive from their schools. Okay. Educational is also provided for the students. This includes admission fee, school tuition, school meals, after-school tuition, international services, and textbooks and school materials. We also provide aid for school excursion fee. Okay. Now I will the police this direction, the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education in response to the corona pandemic is to simplify the administrative procedures so that the schools can focus on classes and quarantine and to provide tailored support to the students in need. Now, okay. Now I will explain the current situation of the support given by our Office of Education. The support can be divided into 3 categories. First, our Office of Education and the regional educational welfare centers have formed support groups aimed to check the health and safety of the students in need and solve the difficulties of online classes. Furthermore, the groups is continuing to deliver customized learning package, including books, masks, sanitizers, and grocery, and more. The 11 regional offices of education and 25 centers have visited many families, checking the health and safety of students. In total, the visit included delivery of the customized learning package, also 700 schools too. Okay. Second, our Office of Education has provided device for online learning to the students in need. To be specific, the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education, the Seoul Metropolitan Government, and 25 boroughs together provide the device to 52,016 students. In addition, many companies have donated smart device, notebook or tablet PC to lifelong educational facilities, literacy education institutions, and special educational schools to support the students in need. To clarify, I will briefly explain what lifelong educational facilities, literacy education institutions. This presentation, lifelong education facilities, are for facilities that provide education to adults who did not have the chance of education during their youth. Next, literacy education institution, institutions that teach elementary Korean for adults who do not know how to read or write Korean. Third, our Office of Education has enforced mentoring for the student in need, with regional educational welfare centers and base schools acting as a hub for mentoring. The education mentoring program has been conducted with university students and volunteers. Our Office of Education is making efforts not only to ensure the safety of the students, but also to take care of educational gaps due to the corona pandemic. The last thing I would like to say today is that in the midst of the corona pandemic situation, the government must provide active support. Furthermore, the cooperation between the government and the private institutions is absolutely necessary in order to create an intimate educational welfare network. This way, we can provide cross support to ensure that no students are neglected. Okay, thank you for listening to my present. I hope that everyone will stay healthy until corona pandemic. Thank you.